Sorry?
Could you repeat that?
I'm sorry?
Sorry.
One of my students came to me frustrated. He'd been speaking English for over 10 years. He worked in tech. His English was advanced, and yet people still asked him to repeat himself at meetings, on Zoom calls, ordering coffee, talking to colleagues almost every day. And after a while, he started asking himself a painful question. Am I just bad at English? Maybe you've had that experience too. Someone says, "Sorry, what?" So you repeat yourself, and then they say, "Sorry, what?" again. And by the third sorry, you've forgotten your name, your job title, and your mother's maiden name. Trust me, you're not alone. And here's the surprising part. Some of the people I work with who are asked to repeat themselves the most are actually the people with the highest level of English. People who've spent years studying English, people who use English every day. So if you've ever wondered, why do people keep asking me to repeat myself even though my English is advanced? This video is for you. Hi, I'm Amanda, accent cooter and speech language pathologist. For more than 15 years, I've helped global professionals communicate with greater clarity, and over the years, I've most focused something on the wrong things, because fluency and clarity aren't always the same thing, and understanding the difference can change everything. You can have advanced English and still experience communication breakdowns. And understanding why that happens can completely change how you approach communication. Most people assume that if they just learn more vocabulary, study more grammar, or work harder on pronunciation, everything will magically fix itself. But communication is much more complicated than that. And that's actually good news, because it means you're probably much closer to clear communication than you think.
Here's something I wish more global professionals knew. Being understood isn't about sounding native. It's about reducing listener effort. Communication isn't just about what you say. It's about how easy your message is for other people to process. And that can happen even when your English is excellent.
When people hear the phrase accent reduction, most people immediately think about pronunciation, the R sound, the TH sound, certain vowels. And pronunciation absolutely matters. But pronunciation is only one piece of the puzzle. Communication is also stress, rhythm, connected speech, intonation, and something we don't talk about nearly enough, listener effort. Your brain doesn't process speech one sound at a time. It processes patterns, stress, rhythm, timing. That's why two people can say the exact same words, and one person sounds effortless to understand, while the other requires much more concentration from the listener. And that extra concentration? That's what we call listener effort. People are busy. They're distracted. They're answering emails, thinking about their kids, wondering what they're making for dinner. They're human. And the more effort your speech requires, the more likely they are to say, "Sorry?" or "Can you repeat that?"
Many people assume that if someone pronounces words correctly, people will understand them. But after working with hundreds of professionals, I realized something. People don't listen to speech word by word. They listen to patterns. Someone can pronounce almost every sound correctly and still be difficult to understand. And someone else can have a strong accent, yet be incredibly easy to understand. That's why clients often tell me, "But Amanda, my coworker has a stronger accent than I do, and nobody asks him to repeat himself." And honestly, they're right. Some of the smartest people I work with are also the hardest on themselves. I've watched professionals who spent years apologizing for their English start speaking up confidently in meetings, stop avoiding presentations, stop saying, "Sorry about my English," and simply share their ideas, because you do not need a perfect accent. You do not need to sound American. You do not need to sound British, and you certainly do not need to erase who you are. I have to be honest with you, even after 15 years as a speech language pathologist and accent coach, I still miss speech. I forget words, I trip over sentences, because that's called being human. Communication isn't about never making mistakes. It's about connecting with people. And most people care a lot less about your accent than you think they do. And if you're someone who's always trying to improve, I want to say something directly to you. You've already done something incredibly difficult. You've learned another language. You've built a career. You've adapted. You've persisted. And if people occasionally ask you to repeat themselves, that is not evidence that you failed. It's evidence that communication is complicated, and complicated things can be improved. Accent and speech clarity training isn't about becoming somebody else. It's about helping the world hear more clearly from the person you already are. And if there's one thing I hope you remember, it's this. Fluency and clarity are not always the same thing. And being asked to repeat yourself does not mean you're bad at English. You're probably much closer than you think. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. I offer speech clarity assessments to help you communicate with greater confidence. Link in the description. And remember, you don't need a perfect accent, but you deserve to be understood the first time. And that's exactly what we're working toward. I'll see you next time. Own your speech. Science-based accent reduction and speech clarity for global professionals. Book your personalized speech clarity assessment today. Be understood the first time.